Welcome back. Conversations have continued. Some people are sending in their tweets about the subsidy matter. Let me take this one. Oluwasami says, it should be removed, but first, light. There should be at least stable light and a few other basic amenities, most especially our refineries. He says, in Ondo State, the DPR are not working at all because we buy fuel for more than 110 naira and light is just 4 hours per day. It's bad. That's Oluwasami sending in that tweet. But moving on to another matter, judicial reforms this time. That's another conversation. We had that conversation on the 12th of August 2015. The inability of some state governments to pay workers' salaries over several months. It may have eroded whatever trust there might have been that the people might have had in the government. The crisis assumed a twist when a sitting judge in Osun State wrote a petition against the governor calling for his probe and possible impeachment. For some stakeholders, she had just put herself into the mix when she was supposed to be by the side watching over the entire situation. The question we asked at that time was, does the petition of the Osun State judge against the governor raise some ethical questions? Should there be specific reforms that would give judicial officers more breathing space on the social sphere, or would this jeopardize their credibility in court? We had two legal practitioners in the studio, Onyekachi Ubani and Nso Dio were our guests, and they had plenty to say.
Well, I don't see what reforms we need here.
Okay, Mr. Bani, then maybe
my submission is that we need a reform. We are very fortunate presently in Nigeria to have a government, that has a clear vision and mission to fight certain ills in the society, including corruption. Now, you need an efficient justice system in order to ensure that the judiciary is in tandem with the aims and objective of the executive. Now, whether the judiciary presently can meet up that expectation, I'm afraid that I cannot. If you put up the issue of judicial system for a discussion on that social media, you will see the reactions of Nigeria, because most of them are, they suffer a lot of injustices here and there. People say a lot of things against the judicial system. So I think I'm an advocate of a reform. And the kind of reform I am advocating, we say it in the course of this particular program, it should be a bit holistic. We should sit down and plan 4-year plan for the judiciary, strategic plan, in order to move our judicial system forward. We have had instances where somebody was convicted of a crime in this country and never spent any day in prison. We have had an instance where somebody is alleged to have stolen several billions and there was conviction, and the person was only asked to pay only 3 million and walked home. We have also had instances where somebody was alleged to have stolen several billions of naira. He was asked to pay only a fine of 750,000 naira and he went home that same day. And so we have had instances where there has been a misapplication of justice in the country, where the judiciary is not clearly in tandem with this, being sensitive with the feeling and yearnings of and aspirations of Nigerians. To the extent that today there is issue of people taking laws into their hand because they don't have absolute confidence in the judiciary. So I'm saying there are areas of improvement and judicial reform. I'm talking about long delays in proceedings. We are talking about congestion of courts. There is inadequate infrastructure. There is what we call lack of access to justice by the poor. There is issue of outdated laws. Even our laws, some of them are outdated. We need to reform them. An issue of prison congestion. So there are so many issues that if somebody says there are no room for reforms, there's something fundamentally wrong because we are not getting it right even as a country. We have had issues where our cases were decided in a manner that is very fast in the UK, even in American courts. But over here, our cases since 2007 of all the governors that were accused of corruption cases are still lingering. The premier matters are still before the Supreme Court. We have not even gone to the substantive cases. So I'm saying that our judiciary requires, if anyone says there is no room for reform, then something is wrong, with that thinking and logic.
Now, there are aspects of some of these prosecutions that lie heavily on the executive. Now, for instance, we have had a case of a governor who was tried here. We have also had the same governor tried in another jurisdiction under a different, with different speed or dispatch. Now, what happens is that the executive is the custodian of the welfare of it executes the activities that runs society. Now, if there is somebody who is to be prosecuted, the state prosecute that person on behalf of the people, and the state has to gather its facts. The state has to find lawyers, find detectives. This is what other jurisdictions do. This is what we did not do here. How do we not pie this error on the judiciary? It is the information that has been placed before the courts that judges hear and give judgments. So if you reform the judiciary, will you also go and reform the detectives and the police who ought to investigate this matter, and then the lawyers who would have prepared their case very well? We know how much British spent in investigating that case. That is not judiciary, but it is the information extracted from this investigation that you will use in securing conviction. Now, the issue of delay by the court themselves, I've already addressed it, that the rules are already there. Now, it is for us to activate them. Why are you not adjourning this matter from day to day? Why is it delaying? So, to that extent, I still argue that there is no reform. Let us exhaust what we have.
We have issue with judiciary. So many issues that a lot of people today, you ask them on the street, what they want to be done in this particular nation. They will tell you that judiciary is one of the critical, sector we should deal with. Now, if you have a government that has a vision of fighting corruption, and you now have a different judiciary that has a different perception of, corruption, where people who are said to be corrupt, we just walk in on technical justice, they just walk away.
But you're doing his line. He talks about the fact that the issue with the judiciary is not necessarily the reforms as much as it is the people that are there.
No, when you talk about reform,
he's talking about the individuals.
No, it includes the people.
Let
him speak. Don't speak for him.
I'm just pointing out what he said.
If you are his lawyer, now let him hire you. But I'm saying over this matter.
Okay, sorry.
Reforms include personnel, includes all the things.
Okay,
yes,
what? Can you please define reforms? If you are talking of reform of the judiciary, that is my argument has been focused on reform of the judiciary.
Yeah.
So I have to.
Are you disagreeing now? Are you not agreeing with me that actually we need reform? The judiciary needs to be reformed. There are areas that requires reform.
No, I have not agreed with you, and I have given you my reason. The fact that the fact that the CJN said something, I am saying that let the CJN let the CJN execute what we have, find out why, discipline an erring judge. Let us see what happens.
Our justice delivery system is quite inadequate, and it's affecting even investors coming into your country to invest. Because if they cannot see your system resolve issues in such a manner that is easily ascertainable, then they doubt your country. They cannot come in, and we're having that issue. Even your criminal sector.
I am not.
There are issues.
I am not.
We have issues of where people who commit crimes go free on technical grounds. We have issues where even premier matters go to Supreme Court, and somebody brings a stay of proceeding on criminal matters, and you stay proceedings. And for 2007 cases, I have told you, they have not been concluded. And I'm saying that before the judiciary. So we need reforms, and those reforms must be very holistic. That is my own point. You are talking about personnel. I'm saying that includes personnel. There must be administrative checks and balances. That if the personnel are not working, something has to be done. You must set down the rule in order to discipline them if they're not working. And I'm saying that there are issues even with personnel. Now, the NJC is the one that employs, judges for states. A state like Lagos may want up to 20 judges. The NJC said, no, it's the federal government that pays. I will give you only 10. That puts a heavy burden on the judges because they have to handle cases that are supposed to be for 20 judges. 10 judges are the one handling. So these are areas of reform we are talking about. Even I know some of my colleagues who are practicing in that environment. I've been there once. So they also have an issue of delays all over the country. We have delays in administration of justice. I'm not saying that it's only issue of personnel. It has to do with issue of basic infrastructure also. It has to do with issue.
You can guarantee that if there's reform, there will be no delays. Don't forget that this is not what we started with.
If you carry out a holistic reform, now let me give you an instance of one of the reforms I want. Can I give you?
Okay, fine. We have been having reforms over one thing or the other.
Yes.
And we have always degenerated. That is, as far as I'm concerned, in Nigeria, we have never had anything improved. We have never had the educational system improved. We've never had any system improved, despite the fact that we are always changing one system, introducing JAB, introducing this. but we have always had standard falling.
No.
Because we don't even care about whatever reforms that are brought. If they are not applied, we will have cases delayed. There is no guarantee.
So
because this is
in other words,
we are saying that
your
even
holistic reforms,
even
come.
the application. I'm saying that even in this issue of reforms,
we never
it must
started
also
here.
even involve in the application of the reforms itself. Because are you following me?
Let's
Don't forget that we never started here. We have reformed to this stage, and we've not felt better. We've not felt better. That is my concern. As a matter of fact, I'm not opposing reforms, but what do you call reform? And if there are reforms, will we feel better? Have we finished with what we have and then to start reforming? We are going to drag over this reform for another 1, 2, 3, 4 years. You will see committees here, committees there,